Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trader Merlin Show. It is your Thursday edition, getting near the tail end of our week. Hope you all had a great session out there today. And yes, the shorts continue to keep on giving. Big Ebs, I love it. You guys are comical today, Big Eb and Tom. You guys are good. I got a good day to have my shorts on. Yes, it's actually balmy out here and nice and humid and hot in California. All right. No, this is not a picture of me when I had a full head of hair. Let me set the stage for today. We are going to have a little discussion on the best trader ever. It's funny, I actually went into AI, Lisa, and I typed into the program. I said, give me Merlin Rothfeld accepting a trophy for, a trading championship with people around me celebrating. And apparently that's me. I don't know. I don't think I look, and I have no idea what is in my left hand. But anyway, the show discussion was driven by a question that came in from a viewer, and I thought, why don't I get into this one just because I think we all want to know, and maybe some of you are just curious about it. And the question was from Gene, says, Merlin, would you consider yourself one of the best traders? If so, and why? I guess as we evolve as traders, you all have aspirations of greatness and things we want to achieve, and maybe getting to some sort of pinnacle where people look at you and say, that guy's a great trader. However, the longer I do this, the more I realize that most of the people that are fronts and very popular with regards to their social media status or the number of followers they have aren't really successful traders, at least the ones that I know personally and seen their track record and trading statements and things like that. So I wanted to dive a little deeper into the discussion by breaking down, who do we think, before I answer that question, if I think I'm one of the best traders out there, who do we look up to and why? So there's a lot of people in this industry that we look up to, and I'll start by looking at who some people may say are the best traders ever. For example, we could start at the top of the list with Mr. George Soros, who's got billions of dollars. He's given, $20 billion to charity. He's worth about $6 billion. He's a big-time investor. Okay, well, maybe he might be one of the best traders ever. And again, I'm saying this with a little asterisk because I haven't gotten to my decision-making point. You have people like Richard Dennis, right? This guy used to be called the Prince of the Pit. Actually, I really like Richard Dennis. I think that he brings a lot to the table. Oops, sorry, my screen's flashed for me. Brings a lot to the table. Apparently, this guy, what was it? He was trading in the 70s on the floor of the CME, and apparently he borrowed $1,600 and turned it into $350 million within 10 years. I think we'd all agree that's pretty damn good. What about people like Jim Rogers, right? Jim Rogers, who I've actually interviewed on this program, great guy. I like his viewpoints, but honestly, I have no idea whether he's a good trader or not. I like what he talks about. He can definitely talk the talk. But if I sat there and looked at Jim Cramer's accounts, all of them, can I see Jim Cramer's or Richard Dennis or George Soros's W2 or 1040 and all the filings for themselves and for their corporations and know exactly what they've done? I can't see that. So what I'm left to go off of is kind of what the media tells us about them and their legendary status as portrayed by media. I saw that Singy says Jesse Livermore is the GOAT. Well, I put Jesse Livermore on here, and it's funny because there's a book out there called The Greatest Trader Ever, and it's a story about Jesse Livermore. And I say, no, there's no freaking way you could call him the best trader ever. Here's why. Jesse Livermore, so I'm going to ruin the book for you. Some of you may have read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. If you haven't, I highly encourage you to read it. I think it's something that every trader or investor should read just because it's a great story, but you learn a lot about psychology, a lot about emotions, a lot about behavior. And it was really kind of we'll say the original day trader was Jesse Livermore, which is trading back in the late 1800s, right? We're talking a long time ago. So here's why I can never consider him the best trader ever. Jesse Livermore took a little bit of money, turned it into millions of dollars in the 1800s, which would be hundreds of millions today. And then he lost every penny of it. And he borrowed more money and made tens of millions of dollars off of that and lost every penny of it. If you go through that process that you make all this money and you lose every cent of it, you absolutely are removed from contention for best trader ever because you lack discipline and you lack risk management, which are two fundamental pieces for me. So, no, as much as I like the story and he did amazing things, no way you could count him as the greatest trader ever. I see Lisa says, how about Warren Buffett? Well, thank you for leading the story here, Lisa. How about Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett, I wouldn't say is a trader. Warren Buffett is not a trader, in my opinion. Warren Buffett is an investor, right? He does a lot of analysis on the companies, and I'm sure early in his days, he was very good at what he did. Now, I'm willing to bet you, anybody want to challenge me on this? I would love to hear why. But I don't believe that Warren Buffett is the one who's calling the shots on exactly what gets bought or sold. I think he gives some insight and some ideas, and he'll look over some numbers, but he's got all of these people here have huge teams of people, except Jesse Livermore, right? Jesse Livermore and Jim Rogers, I would say, are probably doing it themselves. But Richard Dennis, he was doing it himself. Soros probably has a big team, right? Soros Hedge Fund. So I don't know if I could say that they're great traders. Many of them are investors. On this list, I would say that probably Richard Dennis and Jim Rogers would be the two on my list, at least, that I believe are big-time traders. Now, I had one more on the list. Who did I put on here? Ray Dalio, right? Here's another guy. Which a lot of people really like Ray Dalio. I think he's got really important macroeconomic things to say about the world. He owned Bridgewater Hedge Fund and made tons of money with that. But you also have people like Stanley Druckenmiller. You have people like Carl Icahn, Ray Sakota, who are some other ones, Paul Tudor Jones. These are all landmark names that when you hear their name, like, ooh, that's the best trader ever. And Lisa, Richard Dennis, it was Richard Dennis and Bill Eckhart were the two original turtle trainers. And I would argue that those are pretty phenomenal traders. But then again, if we look at this list, and many of you are, no, Jimmy, he would not make the list. That's right. If there's a way to spot a fake trader, then maybe we do a different show on that guy. But, if you look at this list, anybody who's involved in financial markets knows at least one of these names. And it's because they're always in the spotlight. They're always in the forefront. They're always pushing to get themselves on CNBC or Fox or Bloomberg. And that, in my mind, gives them their power. I've talked before how Warren Buffett, will be building a position in a company and not say a word to anybody. It's like mum's the word, let's put non-disclosure agreements anytime he goes and talks to a company until he's built his position. And then he'll have built his position where he bought 50 million shares of some stock, and then he goes on CNBC and they'll ask him about it. They'll say, Warren Buffett's team will go in and say, ask him about stock XYZ, what his thoughts are. And so Warren, once he's built his position in stock XYZ, will say, hey, we like XYZ. We actually just bought 50 million shares worth of it. And then the markets go crazy for that stock. So part of the reason that these guys get to that level of expertise and amazing results is because they have hundreds of millions of people around the world watching what they say, hoping to ride their coattails of success. So that changes things. When I look at the people that I hang around with, I don't hang around with Ray Dalio. I don't hang around with Jesse Livermore. I don't hang around with Warren Buffett or Jim Rogers. Jim Rogers I've met a couple times, but he wouldn't remember my name. The people that I hang around with, I think, are real traders. These are people who would do it by themselves. They're doing all the execution, all the research, all the analysis themselves. To me, that is a trader. I would argue that these guys are not traders. I don't think that they're pulling the strings. I don't think they're actually pulling hitting the buttons to buy and sell. I don't think they're actually doing all the analysis. They're the front, the face, and they've got a team that follows their rules and their strategy. But personally, I don't think I could call any one of these guys the best trader ever. So, Pepe OTA, I would say he's a trader and investor. Jim Simmons, don't know much about Jim Simmons, but Charlie Munger, forget Charlie Munger. That guy's an old curmudgeon who's outdated. That's a prehistoric relic. So let me talk about, at least from my perspective, since the question was originally pointed at me, and I have not answered that because the question was, do I think that I am one of the greatest traders ever? Well, let's look at the qualities and what I think when I were to look at the greatest trader ever, what qualities must they have for me to even consider making them putting them on that list. So one of the first qualities, and again, I think this is important for a lot of you because if you are starting out, I think you really need to pay attention to these 5 things I'm going to put on the list here. Number 1 is risk management. Notice there's no analysis here or anything. It's just risk management. If you don't have risk management, there's no way I could call you the greatest trader ever, or at least in the top 10 or top 100, right? Without a risk management plan, you're going to lose all your money. I can pretty much guarantee it because you're going to shoot from the hip. You've got no stop losses. One bad trade will wipe you out. So without risk management, you are not a good trader, period. Number 2 would be trade plan and rules. Now, this is one of my students last week that, I started to sprinkle in different pieces of rules for them. They're brand new, right? I got 35 people who are brand new to the markets, and many of them just think it's about making money. It's like, well, you have to have your steps in place on how to get there. What are the rules that your procedure follows to allow you to be successful at trading? If you look at someone like Richard Dennis, that's the whole premise of the Turtle Traders, which went on to be one of the most successful trading and investing groups in the world. What did they do? Richard Dennis and William Eckhart basically were at a disagreement. Richard Dennis said, I can train anybody to trade regardless of where they came from. And Bill Eckhart said, no way, it's in my DNA. I'm born to be a trader. So they made a bet. I think it was a $1 wager. Well, Richard Dennis ran an ad in Wall Street Journal, a bunch of different publications, and brought in a bunch of people and said, okay, I will train you. You follow this system step for step. You cannot deviate from this at all or you're out. They followed the rules, started to make money, then he would actually give them more money to trade with. And these guys make millions and millions of dollars. Richard Dennis had a plan. He had exact rules that these guys had to follow. It's when you can take anybody off the street and say, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, step 4, step 5. If they can't follow that, you know the results because they're not making money. In the case of Richard Dennis, his strategy was pretty sound and solid. Now, it had some flaws. For those of you who know about drawdowns, Richard Dennis had some flaws to his style, but he had rules and a plan in place. And I would argue that I absolutely have trading rules and I have a plan in place in each of my accounts, actually, because each one is going to be different. What else do I have on this list? So I got risk management, trading plan, and rules. I have discipline. Again, discipline's a tough one to craft, especially for those of us, for people who can be lazy or impulsive. But discipline is saying, I have to follow the rules. I have to be very disciplined about what I'm doing and make sure that I don't break protocol. Next piece on this is patience. Oh, I put this one on there. I should put it in bold because this is the worst one for me. This is the biggest problem I have. As you guys know, I've told you some stories about my trades in the past. I'm very impatient. That's why I love the day trading style for a long time. But in trading, at least what I found for myself is it's about planning and mapping out those trades perfectly. So I know my entry, my stop loss, my price target, know my maximum risk, got all the rules in place. Now once I have that, I have to be disciplined enough to wait for it to hit that. I've had trades that have come within a penny or two of my entry price and just took off from there. And you're like, oh well, my rule was this number. The trade was based off of that. I have to be patient, let that happen. If it doesn't, so what? Move on to the next trade. So patience is a huge one. And then one that I think that we have to embrace is controlled appetite for risk or controlled risk appetite. Meaning, I can't, none of you can get involved as a trader or investor and be willing to accept zero risk. Then don't trade, right? Just go away, buy yourself some long-dated government bonds, which are volatile as hell, hold those till maturity and get yourself a 5.5% yield or 5% yield. That to me is something that we have to embrace. And every time I look at something, I'm like, okay, what is my risk appetite on this one? So for today, for example, I was in, you guys are going to crack up over this one. I was in 50 call options today on Tesla, day trading them, just basically playing the swing right near the end of the day. I typically, when you have a huge down day like happened with Tesla, there's a real rip right at the end. Not only was I day trading options, but I was day trading deep out of the money options on Tesla, and I was doing it at an expiration that expired tomorrow. So those options are really cheap, and the premium value changes dramatically. And in the last 30 minutes or so of the market, there was a pretty nice sharp jump up in Tesla. Fortunately for me, it worked in my favor, dumped it, and I actually made a mistake sending the order to market. Instead of making $1,500, it was $500. Yeah, and my platform messed up on me. But anyway. Yeah, I would say 1 DTE was for tomorrow, Margaret. I typically don't do that. I typically don't do 0 DTE. Usually I don't, but I have seen so many times where at the end of the day, these things just rip up, and I was expecting that to happen on Tesla. I actually did sell some puts today, which we'll see if that, I sold them expiring tomorrow at 215s, because I'm okay doing that one. So Dave said he'd add time. Yeah, right, and that was part of it. And again, was it a controlled appetite for risk? Yes, I knew exactly what my risk was. I knew that going into 1 day left to expiration, the premium was just going to evaporate out of that thing, and I was out of the money. So it was one of those things that was a very high-risk trade, but I also did it with capital that I was willing to risk. I mean, I think I had $3,200 on the trade and pulled out $500 in a period of about 8 minutes. That was nice. I probably could have done better, but that was a big risky piece for me. And again, controlled risk. I had controlled appetite for risk. I knew it. I went in going, what's my overall maximum possible damage that could happen to me? I calculated that and said, fine, I'm good with that. So all of us have to have some degree of controlled appetite for risk. You said sold puts on Tesla expiring tomorrow. Yes, I did. I sold the 215s. I got $1.30 out of those, and it was trading at 220. So what, you're about 1.6%, 0.6% rate of return for a little over 24 hours? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I day traded calls. So I was long calls today in one trade, and in another trade I sold puts. So 2 separate trades on Tesla going on at the same time. Oh yeah, Margaret, we're talking very risky. But again, did I know it going in? 100%. There was no doubt in my mind this is an extremely risky trade going on Tesla. But I also had an appetite for risk, which is the point of that comment. Let's see. So, look, here's Tesla going into the close, just so you guys can see what I was dealing with. You had this huge rip up, and unfortunately, I bought them for 80. I think it was 80 cents. I bought them for 80 cents, and no, I'm sorry, it wasn't. I bought it for 75, and I put an order to sell at 1 1/4, which would have hit me, and I would have done much better. It ended up, for some reason, it did it at market, which at the time I did it was 86 cents. So, yeah, it was not the best. Yeah, I know. And I bring it up just to show you that I hope a lot of you appreciate that most of my trades, they're not like ultra conservative, but right now I think that the consistency aspect of my trading is one of my cornerstones, which is there is a conservativeness to some of the trades I make. Granted, I do make other trades that are relatively aggressive. You guys, you love to give me a hard time about my Target trade or my Anheuser-Busch trade I made a while back, or the JP Morgan. You guys are, oh, that's crazy. Yeah, those are definitely higher risk, but I have calculated that risk. I have risk appetite for that. Anyway, let's see. Skill Talking said, yes. What about the turtles? Good old Bob Dunn always mentioned the turtles, and he learned from the head turtle back in the day. Yeah, that's Richard Dennis. Turtles are great. Peasant Ambition, the strike price that I bought on my calls directional was 225, but I'm out of those now. That trade's done. I still have puts that I sold on Tesla at 215. We got pretty darn close to it today. Premium was pretty good, but literally for one day, could Tesla have a really big gap down tomorrow and hurt me? Yeah, but I think that this is a little bit overdone right now. I think it's actually orchestrated sell-off on the part of Elon Musk with his comment after hours in the earnings call. All right, so those are the qualities that, again, I'm looking for. Now, before I go into the answer to Gene's question on am I the greatest trader ever? You all know the answer. Obviously, I'm not the greatest trader ever. There's no way I could possibly be that, nor would I ever aspire to be it. But let me give you some advice, just kind of things that I look for, and then I'll give you the answer to that one. Words of advice. Number 1, do not compare yourself to others. Stop it. Right? The only person you have to compare yourself is to yourself, and it's about progressing. I would beg to say that Tiger Woods wasn't thinking, oh, am I better than Sergio Garcia? Am I better than, name another golfer? I don't think he did that. I think it was like, what can I do consistently to get better and improve my game and be the best that I can be? Do we all have limitations on how good we can be? Yeah, I think probably. I think there's psychological issues, there's personality traits and characteristics which may limit you from being, a hedge fund manager like Ray Dalio. However, I think that when you benchmark yourself against somebody else, that puts you at a handicap because you're assuming that they are as good as they say they are. Let me just take a step back right there. You're assuming that they say they are as good as they say they are. So I've never made claims that I am some amazing great trader. I think I'm good at what I do, and I'll keep myself right there. I think I'm good at what I do. Am I the best? Absolutely not. There's no way. And I don't aspire ever to be the best trader. None of you should. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. You can't. None of you here are going to be a Warren Buffett, period. You don't have the resources. You don't have a team. You don't have a publicly traded company. You don't have billions of dollars to throw around and be the greatest. So don't ever compare yourself to anybody else. It's just yourself. And that's why you guys hear me stress so much of your trading journal. Right? Go back through and look at your trading journal. Go look at the trades you make and say, what could I have done better there? What did I mess up on? Did I let the stop loss go too long? Was the stop loss too big? Was it too tight? Was I trading too many share size? Was it the wrong symbol? Was I, there's all these factors that you can do to help reduce the risk to you and increase your probability. So number 1, do not compare yourself to others. I think you can learn from others, which is going to be my second point here. Always be learning. And I think that's why you are all here. Maybe it's just that I'm entertaining and you like having whiskeys with me on Fridays, but I really think it's that you guys are learning and you're hearing from my 27 plus years of experience in all asset classes. And I respect that and I appreciate that you're here every day with consistency. I really do. But I'm not the only person out there that's got good ideas. I'm not the only person out there that's trading on a regular basis. But I think you should always be learning and trying to improve yourself along the way. I'm almost at the end. Don't worry. Again, constantly review your process. I gave out to my students, which, it's not here, the class I taught in Irvine last week. I brought in my 10 laws, and I showed that to them, and I read through each one. I said, you're all going to have to go through your trading and find out what's causing you to lose the most money. And when you do that, that's what's going to make up your 10 laws, right? Most of my mistakes were about trading too big a share size and not using stop losses. And once you fix that problem, things start to get much better. So the only way I would really know those problems and what was dragging me down as a trader and preventing me from getting to a better level was reviewing your process, right? What is the how are you making these trades? How are you entering? How are you scanning the market? What filters are you using? What are you attracted to? I'd hate it because you guys look at TradingView, for example. Here's let me just bring up a daily time frame here. So, it populates with this nice little watch list on the left-hand side. Well, here's what probably half the class that it was doing. They would go over here to this little fire icon, and they're going down, and they're trading these stocks. They're the biggest gainers and biggest losers on the day. Well, that's gambling, man. If you can jump on this MTC, what does MTC look like? And you try trading MTC, somebody's going to go out there and try to buy MTC today. Oh, it's up 51%. Well, yeah, sure, it's up 51% today, but in the last 4 trading sessions, this thing is up a total of 418%. And you're going to be the one that goes long that thinking it's going to go to $3 or $4, and ultimately you lose it all. It's crashing down. So, you should never even look at the biggest losers or gainers. Have yourself a watch list that you follow. Every day we do this show, I usually don't stray from this list over here. These are all the things, markets I look at, whether it's crypto, futures, different ETFs. I have some banking financials I look at. I also like to look at sector ETFs like that, commodities, metals, grains, interest rates. That's it. I don't have a lot in here that there's things in here that I could add to this list, but I think the move's, saying the move's long gone, but people don't believe that. People are like, it's going to go to $10. Okay, whatever. You get caught with that. And then that would be breaking my discipline and my rules. So constantly be reviewing your process, understanding what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and paying attention to those things just so you don't get caught off guard. Let's see, what else do I have on this one? Oh, yeah. Modify your style to adapt different market conditions. This one is critical. Brendan, who's not with us anymore, used to be one of the regulars. He's moved on to greener pastures. But we had a guy, his name was Unbreakable or Unscammable, I think was his name. And Unscammable would tell me on every show, markets will always go up. I'll never go short. I'm always going to go long. Okay. That's fine because statistically it is proven that over the course of time, markets go up. However, from January of this year, markets have been, they were higher. Now they're starting to drift lower, but we might see these markets continue to drift lower, and they might go lower for a year or 2, or heaven forbid 3 or 4. And if you're holding long, that means that entire time you have wasted capital. It's opportunity cost that gets thrown out the window. So, modify your style basically says when you see these markets change, which is why I always talk about the trend is your friend to the bend at the end, then you need to adapt. And look at the charts we've got going on for the S&P. You could make the argument that we've been in, there's no argument, we are in the biggest bull market rally, which ended in 2021, that we've ever seen. It's unbelievable. Now, all of a sudden, looks like things are getting a little bit weaker. And I contend that the actions taken to prop these markets up so much are now starting to come crashing back down. Well, but Merlin, look, it's on an uptrend from mid-2022. It is. However, we're now we've broken that. And I believe you got a new downtrend in place. I don't usually draw channel lines, but let me just draw some channel lines on here. But let's try a fib channel. I don't remember how these channel lines work, but let's see if this works. It goes from there to there. Oh, no, never mind. This is creating a masterpiece of art. Anyway, I've got lower highs, I've got lower lows going on right now, and to me that is the primary basis for my my current positions, which predominantly are short, right? The biggest value I have right now is short, although I'm long silver, I'm long Exxon, I'm long UNG, I'm long Target. So I do have some long positions, but most of those are going to expire tomorrow. My options are going to expire worthless tomorrow, and I'll reevaluate and see what my decision needs to be. But I've modified mine right now to be much more of a short bias here in short rallies. I mean, we talked about that supply zone that we came up to on Tuesday. It was beautiful. It came right up to textbook what I would identify as a supply zone, came right into it, and this has been 2 days of just absolutely perfection. And on the Russell, we broke the lows we've established for the past couple weeks. This just gets better and better as a story. I still believe we are going to hit this 1650 mark, which is right now 62 points away from current level. I have quite a few spy puts. It's been a good so far. Yeah. And again, Big Eb, it's nice if it's working, and they are working at this moment. However, you know that we could get a huge reversal tomorrow, and it could go screaming. S&P could jump 300 points tomorrow, right? If Jerome Powell says, hey, we're going to cut interest rates by 75 basis points tomorrow, this thing will go through the roof. That's just one of the things we have to expect. But I think if you're patient, you step back a little bit and you look at these charts, it does look like S&P's rolling over here. You look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is a descending triangle at this point. Again, that 14,609 becomes really critical for it. But we have to modify our plan. I don't get so hung up on they always go up. That's one thing that I think really will crush people. So to answer Gene's question at the very beginning of all this, before I went through a long-winded answer, was, would you consider yourself one of the best traders? If so, and why? Absolutely not. I don't care to be the best trader. I have zero aspirations. Again, I am only trying to improve myself on a daily basis. I don't go out there and brag about it. I don't boast about it. I've been trying to show you guys more trades here because you've been asking for it. So I'm showing you, some of the trades I'm in just so you get an idea of what I'm thinking. And again, that's just a small portion of my portfolio that I'm showing you. But yeah, I don't want to be the best. I don't want to be a Jim Rogers. I don't want to be a Paul Tudor Jones where everybody is hanging on every word and knows exactly who I am. The best traders that I know personally, they would rather nobody even know their name. They want to remain anonymous. I know a couple guys who I've asked to come on and talk about their trading successes because they are unbelievably consistent and they're very good at what they do. And they don't want to come on. They're like, nope, I have no interest. What benefit is it for me? I don't care. I don't want to come on your show. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. The ones that you will find that are the flashiest, that are driving the fancy cars, that got the big bling bling watches and are always, posting their pictures of just epic journeys and all this stuff. They're typically the ones that are losing money, at least from my experience, especially back on the trading floor days. So there you go, Gene. Thanks for the question. I hope that you learned a little bit of something on that. It was a 30-minute talk about the best trader in the world, but I don't think I would ever label anybody as the best trader in the world. We all have different strengths. It's like saying who's the sexiest man alive. Well, what are you basing sexiest on? Is it their appearance? Is it their brain? Is it their actions? Is it what they do as a human? I don't know. I don't have any aspirations of it, and I hope you guys don't either. Just compete against yourself and try to get better and better. And what I really like is I think many of you have become friends and maybe communicate with each other. I think that as you grow, you find people that you resonate and have kind of the same rules with. I know Lisa and Lori, I think you guys are pretty close. It's good for you to have that kind of relationship with someone so you can bounce ideas off of, maybe even tell some of your bad losing trades to, and have that person help correct your mistakes and hopefully guide you down the right path, which is what I try to do here, and I certainly Online Trading Academy does as well. Let's see. Let me go back here. I got a couple questions. I wish someone from OTA shared something like this with me 4 years ago. When you shared those, it changed. Oh, good, Dave. I'm glad. I wish it would have happened sooner. I think part of the the thing with trading is, especially as a trading school, if people believe that they can take one class and they're going to make millions of dollars, then they'll flock to it. And I think that it's important that a trading school emphasizes that trading is difficult. Trading is a challenge, and you're not going to walk into a situation and just push a button, all of a sudden money just comes splattering out of that computer. Like, oh wow, this is great. It ain't that easy. You'll find there's a lot of things that you don't know about yourself that you will find out once you get money on the line. I think that's probably the case for many of you here. So, I think maybe just spread the word about the show for anybody you know about trading, or at least this episode. Let's see what do I got here. Alan G, what do you think Bob Dunn and other legendary traders' edge was? Their trading strategies seem super simple. Honestly, Alan, simplicity is best. So what Bob did is, Bob's philosophy is just look for the big trend, and whatever that big trend is doing, that's what you want to do. And I think you guys can see some of that in my style, The one area that Bob Dunn and I butted heads against all the time was Bob believed that if you use shorter term time frames, you were a loser. If you were using anything under a daily time frame, you were a loser. I disagree with that. I always encourage people when they start out as a trader to do longer term stuff because the trends are bigger, they're more powerful. You're going to focus on daily charts or weeklies or monthlies, more relaxing, less stress. When you start to break that daily chart into an hourly or a 15-minute or a 5, or you get down to the 1 minutes or tick charts, your stress level goes up exponentially. The profit potential declines exponentially, and you have to trade much bigger share size to accommodate day trading. I always encourage people now, don't start out as day trading. You can evolve to that for sure. I love it. But don't jump in there first go, because you're going to get your clock cleaned. Not to sound too condescending, but most people have no clue what they're doing as a trader, and you want to go into a fast time frame like a 5-minute thing you're going to day trade. Good luck. If you have a winning trade, it was probably luck, right? So let's see. Skilled Stockman says, Bob Dunn got me off the 60, 15, and 5-minute charts and totally changed my trading. I would have been broke by now if I never had Bob Dunn futures trading class in Detroit. Nice. So you kind of echoed what I said right there, right? Skilled, you were probably a shorter term trading guy, and all of a sudden you step back, look at the bigger picture, and you get much bigger winners. It's much less stressful. Now your stop losses might be bigger as well, but I think that's what gave them their edge, Alan, is those guys had a bigger time perspective. It was about joining the bigger trends, and when you're wrong, you do have a level that you get out at, but you can be much more patient and allow time to do its thing, whereas a day trader doesn't have the benefit of time. A lack of ego is probably one of the traits of good traders, which helps explain that. Well, Bob had a pretty big ego. I love Bob, don't get me wrong, but his ego was pretty big. Are you a part of the Bob Dunn Discord group, now called Trade Cheetahs, I think? Sorry, Skilled Stockman. I'm not. What's your thoughts on Jerome Powell's speech today? It's exactly what I thought he was going to say. Honestly, what I should do every time there's a Jerome Powell speech, I should do a mockery of it, like a fake one. Oh shoot, I got to wrap up here, guys. I have a class starting in a little bit, so I need to. I'm doing a cryptocurrency thing. Jerome Powell's going to say we're going to keep rates right where they're at unless the markets, either get too hot and then we'll have to raise rates again. And that's pretty much what I expected. There was no surprise there. Let's see. In that class, I was hammering Bob Dunn about 30 minutes and less charts that Craig Wow was teaching. He said, well, I day trade off the weekly and daily charts. And I was like, what? Yeah. Hey, Craig Wow's great too. I love Craig Wow, honestly, love Craig Wow. I think he's got a great style. I love his demeanor. I like his approach. Him and Michael Young, those two are like, you talk about who are some of the best traders. I look at those guys, not necessarily the best traders, but I just love their style. I love their attitude, and their experience is just off the charts, right? My experience pales in comparison to a Michael Young or a Craig Weil or a Bob Dunn. All right, let's see. Tom says, I like to picture the best trader as someone that can copy a complete trade plan and hand it off to a programmer that code. Yeah, that would be a tough one. That'd be a tough one. Getting the algorithm to change its mind to be the toughie. All right, let me get off here. I have to go and do this class here in an hour, and I have to open up the room an hour before, so I need to run. Here is your economic calendar for tomorrow. This is Thursday. Let's go into tomorrow. You have very little announcements coming out for the U.S. You can see you've got an FOMC member, you have the federal budget balance. I will talk about the TIC long-term purchases, which happened today. I think that's an important number. Sorry, it happened yesterday. I think it's a really important number to look at, and I'll explain that one as we go. If we look at the earnings calendar, here is our earnings calendar for mañana. It's Friday. I cannot wait. Looking forward to it. You have nothing. All of these are really tiny companies. $98 million. Big deal. Who cares? Nothing going on there. So, boring day on the earnings front for tomorrow. But today, just so we can look at some of the numbers, you had American Airlines with huge earnings beat. They almost doubled, or a 50% increase in their earnings. That's awesome. And that's it. That's all our big stuff? Jeez, how boring of earnings. And there we go. I thought we had Taiwan Semiconductor in there. I was on page 2. So Taiwan Semiconductor, biggest semiconductor company in the world, up 11% on their earnings surprise. They actually moved up 3.69% in the after hours, or before market open. You had Philip Morris beat earnings, Union Pacific. Everybody beat earnings today except the Blackstone Group. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys. I hate to run like this, but I do have to go open up another room and get a session started. So I hope you enjoyed that one. If you guys have any questions, feedback, or if you know someone who's getting into trading and wants to know kind of who the best traders are, the real answer is there is no best trader out there. Don't benchmark it. Don't look out to especially these false prophets out there. There's a lot of them. I think that the credibility of people should be kind of in their actions and how they present information to you as far as them being a good trader or not. So thank you guys so much. I hope you, Todd Davis, one of my favorites as well. I love Todd. I love Larry. We got I work with some great people. So again, if you have questions, email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com or put your video or question down below any of the YouTube videos, as many of you did. I have some questions I didn't get answered today, which I will do on tomorrow's weekend wrap up with a nice glass of whiskey. Take care, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow.